Have you ever thought about how life would be if you were dancing, playing in success and failure? Reset your definition. Would there ever be a true failure then? Maybe some lessons learned, maybe learning how to have resilience, maybe seeing where you may not be letting things go. So, learning about resentment and how that can stop you, or that you're trying to learn how to forgive and you're like, how do I do that? That's why I brought Carolyn C.J. Jones in for this time to be with you on the podcast. I also have Janeen Olmos. She is speaking about resilience. She has a process that goes step by step. Incredible. Because even in there, there's a spot about being tenacious. So why not learn about what we used to call as failures, more like you're ready to dance and play, really get into it. My name is Rhonda Liebig. I'm an energy revitalizer, cash vitality coach. I'm the creator and founder and producer and creative being out of what this show is becoming. Every show that we do, I get so preciously in love with this journey, deeper and deeper with the Fresh Inspiration Show. To have these experts that come in and share their spirit, their passion, what they're doing, are you finding it a way for you to open up your door so that you feel like you're out there inspiring more people? Our community, I'm starting to call you the inspirers. Anybody that wants to mentally up-level their game, lock arms with others and learn from others and also guide and teach others, you're my kind of people. You're the Fresh Inspiration Show community. You are an inspirer, and I'm so excited to launch this hashtag, the Fresh Inspiration Show Inspirers. Okay, so what I'm thinking is you're going to be ready for this podcast if you know that things have been holding you back. You haven't been dancing and playing enough. You feel like you have been lost in all of this terribleness that's going on. It's just coming at you and you don't know how to stop it. It just keeps coming. And you're like, oh, I need a clear head. You could also be on the other side where you're like, well, yeah, I got this, but I need a little bit extra. This reminds me of the guys from the 70s. That was, I forgot their names. Dan Aykroyd and who's the other awesome character from Saturday Night Live? You know, like the Wild and Crazy Guys, if you ever watched that. Like, you know you got this. Like, your shoulders are just going for it. I got this. But you still are like, I'm still partnering. I still love having excitement because I look at podcasts as just another up level for the day. So I want you to enjoy this. Truly. From my heart to yours, we have 2 podcast releases for you for dancing, playing, and success and failure. The first hour podcast that you're going to see here, make sure you click for the second one also. But the first hour is the opening ceremony. I'm calling it Dancing, Playing, and Success and Failure. Reset your definition. Second portion of it, the resilience from vision to community. Then I'm talking about reviving your dance to create more income. And that is me. That I'm going to be on the second hour of the podcast where I'm playing. I'm playing about, music and love and joy and what we have going on and how to bring memories back based on the way that we see things and how to clear that. And so I think in this podcast, we really can't play the music because it's like all these top hits, and I think we'll get stopped, from Spotify and YouTube and all that. But we're going to do some cuts there so you get to enjoy a little bit of me supporting you. And in the second hour, you're going to also have Carolyn C.J. Jones. So I'm so excited. Enjoy. and you have a fabulous day. Keep growing and listen in. Enter the doorway. I'm going to do an outro video for you. Make sure you grab the tail end so you can really hear some of the nuggets that I think I would love for you to have. And I would love for you to share the nuggets that you got. Make sure you do reviews for us because we are growing. Love this. Love you.
Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration.
You are going through this journey, you're learning. I truly am not going to take medicine unless like they hold me down and say this is the only way you're going to be able to survive, and you finally realize like, oh, now it's my time. That'll be like when you're 90 or something, or if ever. Hopefully, the way you're taking care of yourself. But the really cool part is the tenacity about you. Because, I've been confronted with medicine, and I thought that was the thing. That was at 29 thinking that. So what gave you that freedom to say, here, wait, I'm not going to, get into the medicine yet if I need to, but I'm going to go and see. And because you have to be extremely curious to take that first step off and learn more and be patient. The natural way of healing, be patient with your body and know that your body's got your back. So where's that tenacity come from? I'm just amazed that you did this and said, I'm going to figure out why my body is clogged and where's this asthma coming from, like this feeling that's hard to breathe. Where'd you get that tenacity? Is this like always been with you, April, or is it just something that's totally woke you up and realized? And this is so important because we may have people within our community that's going through this or that's been on medicine for a while and they're reevaluating.
The tenacity's always been with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had great examples, great maternal examples, especially growing up. This may sound wild, but when I was young, I remember actually burning my finger and looking at my finger and saying, "You will not burn."
Oh, yeah?
And that's as a young child. So I've always had a connection with my body and an understanding that we have a lot of control and power, but I think we've given it away. And I'm not saying go stick your hand in a fire and just tell it not to burn.
I'm so glad you cleared that up.
But I've always had that connection. Now, that said, I was in the healthcare profession for a long time. So I got into that Western mindset to a degree, because that was what my corporate life was around medicine. And I did try the medical route.
April's coming back. She will. I like how April's talking about like her route. This is very cool. So we'll see if we get her back. We'll let her finish. But I love her story about being tenacious. Yeah, I love that because okay, there April's back. Okay, so April, you were talking about when you actually did start in that arena of Western medicine because that's where you were in corporate, like that was the process. And then share with me what the next step that you said.
Okay. What happened after that? I was in a plane going from Miami to San Francisco. I was on all this medication. I was using my inhaler much more than what it was prescribed to do, and I still could not breathe. And so that's a moment when you sort of say, okay, I need to take control of this. I need to look at the things that I can do to make improvements and to get my health back. And so that's basically was one of the things that drove me just to say, this is something I have to address, and just a natural curiosity. I've always been inquisitive and curious and very in touch with my body. So
yeah. Okay, I do want you to tell them what the product is, but hold on. So I love, the Fresh Inspiration Show. You see how there's a lot of organic stuff happening here with April, but there's also a real technical side. So I want to bring up, because April and I were talking about the name of her coaching that she does for people. Okay, so April, tell me what the name of your coaching is, how you help guide people with, making choices and life stuff and all that. What's the name of your business?
The name of my business is Be Intentional. The coaching, the mentoring,
Yeah.
which I like to think of it as mentoring as opposed to coaching, is Centripetal Rainbow Effect.
I'm sorry, I love it because I have a very technical background. So centripetal. April, tell me what that means, because I had to look it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
Well,
But because this
centripetal,
is going to
oh,
help you
sorry.
with knowing. This is going to help you with knowing April's background and also how serious she is about the rainbow effect. So what does centripetal mean?
Centripetal is a force that draws whatever is in its field toward the center of a circular path with net force. And that sounds technical, but we're at the center of this model. So it's how we attract and keep things in our orbit
Yeah. Yeah.
to bring more power
Hmm.
and visualization, of the cumulative effects of what we're doing. The rainbow effect is a method to visualize and intentionally add improvements that create color bands.
Hmm.
And they keep our intentions close and attract. What the centripetal force also does is it attracts other improvements. As intention is what we're doing grows into a habit, the colors that you can visualize deepen in intensity and width, or bandwidth, if you want to get technical. Even your intermittent and broken intentions add to this effect. So it's a way to look at what you've done, what you're doing, and just see the power of that and visualize it. Now, there's a process and a method behind that, obviously, but the rainbow is looking at those things. And then we can dive into each of the changes in the main energy field by looking at the companion universe, if you want to call it, at each of the end of the rainbow lines. So say one
Okay.
is food, one is toxins in your home, one is, physical motion and activity, eminence.
I love this.
How are you looking at your eminence? And so, you can really just see each of those individual areas as well. It's
Oh,
just
I love
powerful.
this.
Everybody who's looked at it just has really been impressed with just how they're able to see that going
Yeah.
forward and to draw on it.
I love how you share that too. And it's the you being in it's make sure I'm understanding this. You being in the center, and it's the force around that. So then you can bring things to you, or they can bounce off. It's like it depends on what that is, but you really get to see in your spirit what you create. Like I can see how that helps someone feel like they really, we usually use the word victim, I guess, but like where you feel like you actually have the power to be able to make decisions, and that force can bring positivity and really, like you just, like what you said with health also, is you start feeling that change, that transformation, because you're naturally going through your process to make sure that your body is okay. So it naturally starts healing. Anything that's not working can also be part of that, and you can start feeling that too. So I can feel the yin and the yang of that effect, where you can feel when something's really good, when you're really sensitive, and you can also feel, here, this doesn't feel good, because I can feel that force around me of the how I'm showing up for the day. I feel the depths of what you're saying, and I love the colors too. I always think of everything painted as this beautiful color. To be able to bring all this together, to be able to support somebody to start making those choices, understand how they can live in their day with surviving, because the first thing is we need food.
Correct.
And can you share with me what's the product that you are using that you have been? I've been watching you cook and getting ready for the fall food. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so good. What's the product that you carry?
It's called Epicare. Epicare is a 23-year-old Canadian company.
Mm.
It's only been in the US about 18 months. So
Oh, it's young. I
really
love
unheard
this.
of. However, it's in about 30% of all Canadian households.
So,
So there's a good concentration of it in Canada.
okay. And then also share with me, like, you're cooking these great things. So you get this package of stuff that you order, and it helps you because what's in the products? We were talking about this when we got our 15 minutes to do a Facebook Live the other day in our community. So there's organic and like there's these great things and ways to put meals together.
Yeah, it's not a box service, so it's not something you're going to get and have to use within a week or something like that. They're meal solutions, but they have organic, non-GMO. All the spices are non-irradiated, which is important because you want the food you're eating to give you value, not to have been annihilated basically by radiation. And they're what's more important sometimes than what's in it, it's what's not in it, which which it's fat conscious, sodium conscious, and sugar conscious, so very low on those margins, very tasty but nutritious. It doesn't have peanuts, soy, dairy, gluten, and it's a wide variety of products that really help people change their, not only what they're eating, be more confident in cooking, be able to replace things they like from takeout, which is one of the hazards we all face and usually feel bad about after we eat. And just bring joy back into going into the kitchen and save time.
I love it.
That sounds like it.
That sounds like what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that we just let Julie in, and thank you, Julie. I know you're in this group and you're new, and you were just asking to come in. So any interaction, my friend, we'd love to hear from you. April Wall is talking right now, and I don't know who else is in, but I just accepted Julie, which is great. April,
Okay.
I love that. Okay, so I think I have the links, and I do want you to come back in at some point and make sure I got all the right stuff. But please share with the community once we are done here anything you want to share about the stuff that you have going on and what's happening. And then right now I'm putting some links in that you gave us so that we have your information here also. But Epicure, how to get connected with you, and then what kind of stuff do you have that people can be able to connect with you? Is it maybe just a one-on-one discussion about more about the Epicure, or what would you like to give the community today?
Yes, definitely. Mentoring session
Mm-hmm.
as far as just Epicure, and also if they want to dive a little deeper into the centripetal rainbow effect. It's important because whether somebody is just frustrated and tired of cooking, like one of my clients that started at 4 because her mother hated cooking,
Yeah.
and then everybody loved her cooking so much she never could not cook for any holiday. She just got so burnt out, and then she found herself not wanting to cook and her health declined, and she started eating out and diabetes and other things followed, so being able to find something that supports you and is healthy and is adjustable for
Yeah.
your needs and meets so many different dietary preferences and needs is really powerful. So I'd love to share that with anybody who wants to know a little bit more about it and ask questions. And, thank you for the opportunity to talk to people today.
I'm so happy you are here, my friend. I do appreciate you so much. And thank you. And thank you for applying for the 15-minute scholarship. That means a lot to me. And I met you through the show. I got to talk. April was just like you, the Fresh Inspiration Show, coming in is really getting involved and typing and just being part of this community. And I do appreciate you, especially hearing your vocals and us talking a lot these days. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. How you doing at Fresh Inspiration Show? Do you hear that? I really love a lot about what April said about what she personally was dealing with and having so many drugs to be able to help her get through her day and how expensive it was for her. And it was very difficult. Like, how do I survive? And I love talking about this and the effect of like, it's kind of scary to believe that like we got our back in this area when our body starts doing different things, getting clogged up. But what I loved about what April said is like, that tenacity of like, okay, I was on this, but I'm going to figure it out. I really need to truly start going in deeper. So the Fresh Inspiration Show, how do you feel about this? How are you doing in your journey overall? And it doesn't have to be related with medicine. You think about it. Where are those areas in your life where you feel like you're stuck? And you feel like I have to do it this way because so-and-so told me to. If you do a slight shift off that path or a big one, where will that take you? First, vulnerability, because it's your own path. But then it gives you opportunity to start creating something that's you. Start creating something that's you. And so I appreciate and applaud what you said, April, because it gets really sensitive in this world when you start talking about not taking medicine. And I know in the holistic world, the discussion around talking about medicine and healing, even that word healing, there's shaming on that. There's certain words. We put so much emphasis on the words. And so it's really wonderful to be able to hear that because in the holistic world, we just get to watch people change. To me, they feel better. That is definitely healing. So I love you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Root cause is always important. So not just treating symptoms.
Yeah.
And making it easy is even better.
Yeah, exactly. Janeen with her little heart. That's it. So Janeen's a love bug. Okay, so I am ready to transition. We should, because this is just so delightful. And we're going to go into the resilience area. What I really like about Janeen is that she has a background of really going in the depths for people as a therapist and being able to know how to hold that space so that you feel safe so you can go back and open up that stuff and figure out how to clear it. Janeen is in a new space with all those years experience. Now she's looking more in the future stuff. That's what coaches love doing. Like, how can we move you forward? And she's going to have her own story around that. You've probably heard it a couple times now because Janeen's been hanging around, just like thinking she's the star of the show, which right now she is. Janeen's the star of the show right now for this hour. Janeen, I told you some fun facts about her, and I'm looking at this little thing about like her, like being this young girl with her boots on, thinking, like she's this badass, young girl. She's like, oh yeah, this, just walking, see some poop on the ground because, there are cows all around. And her parents were working very hard because they were working the farm. And Janeen just acted like a little kid. She wasn't working. She thought, I better put my boots on and start walking in some poop. And she fell in it. And just, it's like, like that quicksand, just all of a sudden you're just in it. And so when I was thinking about like, how can I share Janeen's story? It's the feeling of like, there was success because Janeen was playing instead of working. Working should always feel like play. First thing, she was playing. Second thing was that she was curious. And when she fell in that poop, you think about it, that's the beginning of her learning her resilience. That's why I came up with Janeen. That's when I was thinking about like, how can I play with Janeen's story? But Janeen Olmos is a coach and consultant of high achieving professionals. why Janeen can go in that area. You think about it, she understands emotionally, what's holding you back in your business, what's giving you space to feel like maybe you don't feel resilient in certain areas. So she can look at all those different areas of your life, because your life really is your business. And she likes to support people who are doctors, but also entrepreneurs, people that are in business, trying to move forward. So high achieving, someone that's really accelerating, but they know that they want somebody to partner with them, that she's got your back. So you see how like that experience, that mindset area, and also having the structure of the schooling, how exciting is that? Janeen, are you ready? I mean, to talk about resilience? Is this something we should do right now and kick it off?
Yes.
Janeen, where do you want to start with this? Is there a story you brought in? Anything about resilience for yourself that you wanted to speak about, or a client, just so we can get kicking in, and then I'm just gonna let you flow with your stuff.
So the biggest example of resilience that we have right now in the media, I think, is Britney Spears. She has been through a lot, and none of us will ever know exactly what she's been through. But I definitely, even in the minimal I know about her story, she's been through a lot of struggles, and she has been nothing but resilient and tenacious, which is included in resilience. So she's my favorite example right now of resilience. I have my own story myself. I went through addiction treatment about 20 years ago, and I learned how to be resilient, not get stuck in my trauma, and move out of it and move forward into the person I wanted to be. So I think that's what Brittany's asking for too, is to not be held back by her stuff, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And move forward and be the person she wants to be, rather than who someone else is telling her to be.
I think talking about Britney Spears is perfect, because around here, I just love music and people that, I mean, whatever you can say about Britney Spears is pretty cool, because you think of how smart she is in business and resilient. How in the heck can somebody be that young, going through all the stuff that she's gone through, and still be in the forefront? Not some people who have a difficult time with resilience and they get lost in the shuffle. So there's something about business and things she's very, very smart at. So we have been learning a lot about her, not the depths, of course, exactly, because that's not going to be unveiled right now. But I could see how you could be comparing that of what we're going to be talking about. Anything else in that story, though? Because I find it so interesting thinking about entertainment, and what like being kind of shackled with her own money. Like her money's going somewhere else, and she's finally like, I'm not going to take this anymore. And the Fresh Inspiration, she'll bring it in when you've been in a situation, you've been very vulnerable, and it's where this takes you, and you feel like you are like being held back. I feel like there's many ways that we feel that way when we're first starting out, or just like anytime in our life, all of a sudden something big will happen and something comes out. Or
starting my own business, it's been a journey too, trying to become resilient in my mindset. It's for those of you who have not started your entrepreneurial journey, work on your mindset first. Holy cow. And resilience can absolutely help you, because you do have to not toughen up, but learn to appreciate all of the difficulties that you're going to go through and use them to grow. Is it okay if I start on some of the components with resilience, because it fits?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
Love it. Okay, so the most important aspect of resilience is vision, which is your goals for your life. And it's not just, career goals. These are passionate dreams that you have and connecting with that and using that to motivate you and drive you throughout your life. It's about finding your purpose, your meaning, and creating a legacy, not only for yourself, but for your family, whether you have children or not. So vision is so incredibly important. I really think that's why Britney Spears she's made it through, is because she has a strong career vision on what she's wanted to do for the world and what she wanted to share her talents. So I think that's one of the biggest things that she's had. She's had big dreams and she shared her life with the world. And now she's asking to get it back in a deep and personal way for herself. So vision is, I also think, I've had to develop mine over time. I didn't have a strong vision like Brittany did when I was growing up. I really felt compelled to do what everybody else wanted me to do. People pleasing at its finest, right? So I didn't ever take the opportunity to really dream big. The biggest dream I had that I remember on senior skip day was
I love that because my son is a senior right now.
so, it was kind of fun that day. And so my big dream was to become an accountant and
Really?
drive a Jaguar by age 25. So
That's big. That's important. I get what you're saying.
So I went to the Jaguar dealer that day and got a brochure. And here I was trying to create my mindset, but I had some other trauma that I didn't know I had. And so it kind of held me back. But I at least started with a vision. And so periodically I've kind of had to redevelop it. And, getting older and wanting to get out of corporate and being in the therapy world, I really started to see that vision for myself is incredibly important, not just going along with other people's suggestions about what my life should be. So I love this, that, maybe others would consider I had a midlife crisis, which I did. I was just like, oh, this can't be all there is to life. There's got to be more than this. So yeah, I really started to look at what I wanted and to create my vision.
Yeah, I feel that. I love what you're talking about right away is the thing of like what somebody says I'm trying to do because I want to make sure I fit in. So how do I do that? So the vision is it's a great way to start when you start thinking about that. I cried when I realized how fake I was. I'm like, oh, that's why people really like me and then they really hate me. Like, oh, I get it now because I'm playing a game that is really difficult for somebody to understand how to play the game. They're like, oh, you're trying to be something you're not. So the vision's important. I can hear that. And then the Britney Spears having the strength of like, this is my vision, and it's like, but through your growing your business and transitioning, do you find that your vision is just getting ever stronger because of all the resilience that you've been creating around you? But I bet you have new resilience coming up too along the way as you're breaking and opening different things in your business too, and acknowledging things. There's still mindset stuff, I feel like, every day.
Oh gosh, yeah. I've been through several programs, but the biggest thing I've learned along the way is that if I don't have a vision and if I don't have something that's motivating me and a commitment to that, if I don't have those things, I will fail as an entrepreneur. And I got to tell you right now, I am so determined because my vision is so strong and it's getting stronger and stronger every day with the help of some amazing coaches I have, that I can make significant changes in my way and not just the way that everybody wants me to. Of course, I'm going to follow some kind of structure, right? I'm not just going to be a renegade, out there, but in a way, I do want to be a renegade in that I want to do things a little bit differently than everybody else does. And that having all of that is what motivates me to continue through all the setbacks that I've had. I've had a lot.
And anybody else have a lot of setbacks? Normal. I love it. I love it, Janeen, and I love the fact that you're like I am my own renegade, but not in a way that's just like you're just out there and you don't really have a vision of where that is, because that also having blinders on is really not a good thing. But I like the renegade, what you're talking about, that part where it's like I'm gonna get out there and do what feels good to me, but I want coaches around me that allow that space to lift, so I can have my wing lifted as I go along and just like power it out. Because now you have all the background, in being able to know how to do this or that in your business, but it's really now about like, okay, how do I put that together? So I can see that in personal space when you were doing the therapy, and then how you are helping people with their business and being able to really see that you're a guide for them. That's how come that mental component of your background, you get to help them create their vision by holding that space for them. So I can see, okay, so first step is vision. What's the second step, Janeen?
Second step is emotional composure. It's summarized in the program I share with others as composure, but it's really about emotional composure. How do you deal with all of the stressors in your life, from the smallest to the biggest? How do you deal with those and move through them without getting stuck in them? How do you manage your stress? How do you regain your composure after you feel like you've lost it? It involves mindfulness. I know that's a huge buzzword right now, mindfulness. And a lot of people are resistant to it. But honestly, what it means is we're just paying attention to our bodies, like April talked about, and our minds, like what is going on with our feelings. Our feelings are our friends. They are messages, and we need to listen to those messages. And that's it. That's as far as mindfulness is, labeling our feelings, being aware of our blind spots, being open to challenges, and also that self-compassion component, bringing that in, allowing ourselves to feel things, but moving through them and then deciding where we go from there. Not letting our emotions control us, but looking at them as vital, critical information that can inform us on what's important to us and how we're going to move forward from there.
Judy, I remember that I used to think that having emotion was weak. Anybody else on the Fresh Inspiration Show, like at that part? Because that's a great part to be in, because it's just like that's where you go, okay, well, there must be more to it, because why do we have this emotion? Like, are we really supposed to hide it? So I think there's the layer there that I really truly enjoy what you're saying. Like, I think about how much I try to hold stuff back, and like it's like like look at that person cry, they're so weak. Like inside I'm like, that
Yes.
that kind of thing. And then the composure, it's like, and you say composure, composure is that not that you can outwardly be strong and not talk about things, and that the composure, it's more like feeling and feeling it out, and then you I think, okay, so can we go in a little bit of like what in this mindset area? Can we go a little deeper and maybe how those layers open up as a gift? Because I know from here to where you're starting to see like you're really organically really listening to yourself, there's some ebbs and flows here. The Fresh Inspiration Show, that we may find different parts that we're in. Where are you finding some of those things that where people are composure, like it doesn't bother me, emotions are nothing? When do you start seeing that people are starting to open up? Like what starts happening where they start, maybe crying and thinking they're weak? I mean, like, where does this go before they really go, oh, this is good?
Well, it's a journey for sure. There are a lot of people I work with, especially in the therapy world, who are very resistant to looking at their emotions. And they do have that mindset like, oh, if I feel my feelings or show my feelings, I'm weak. But I got to tell you, if you think about it, it takes tremendous courage to share your feelings and to feel them
Yeah.
and to not stuff them.
Yeah.
It takes tremendous courage because it's way easier to stuff them, put on this mask, and pretend like you don't have feelings and you're not vulnerable. It takes a lot of energy to do that, but it takes great strength and great internal power and self-compassion to show your emotions and actually feel them and use them as data.
Yeah. Yeah. And allowing spaces to breathe that in. Anything else in that area that, whew, that's big. Because I can feel the range of what was happening when you were speaking, the Fresh Inspiration Show. Tell me how you feel about this. But the feeling of, because I knew that feeling. You're like, hold it back, hold it back. And then comes the thing of like, I'm tired of crying. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm just done with it. Oh, that was loud. And then like your friends are watching you and you're crying and you go, oh, that's just so good. So glad I'm crying. I'm so glad I'm crying because this, and they're like, are you like crazy? But then you get to open the conversation and you get to really be with somebody. So if somebody puts you in a space, I'll take that back. But if you're having conversation with somebody and you go through that emotion where you let it go, you actually get to hold that space and really see that other person. Because we can fall into victimhood if we're here and say, well, how dare them say that to us, and I can see how this can take your life and lifestyle and business into another level, because you can have things coming at you all the time and it gets you really pissed. And then, so there's like all those layers, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It is a beautiful gift to be able to hold that space for our clients and help them reach that point of where they feel empowered to actually feel. And it's not as scary as it used to be. And
Yeah.
their feelings become their friends. But they also know that, even if you're feeling your feelings, you're going to move out of that. Our feelings change constantly. Really, we're only in that ick stuff for a few minutes and we move out of it. Now we may come back to it repeatedly and we can learn skills during this composure phase to help you not get stuck in that and to move out of it permanently. But we're always going to have the feelings. We just
Yeah.
got to be willing to look at them, hold the space for them, and then move forward and decide where to go from there.
And I feel like the dancing part of it is that yuck starts becoming whatever you want to call it, yuck, raw, whatever. So many synonyms around it. But I love that because then those layers get more to where you can say, oh, I feel that. Oh, it feels so good. Because you just know something good is coming out of it. And so like there's all this flow so the Fresh Inspiration Show, what Janeen is saying here, Janeen Olmos is saying here, is like, this is powerful. So I'm so glad we were able to hold that second spot there, because that is like, then you could be friends with somebody you think you may hate them forever. Like, I just hate you. Or you leave your passion because you're like, I just posted something out there on Facebook and they just didn't like it because nobody liked it. And you're like, well, how do you feel about that? Well, I really, and you get to play with it. Well, what do you think that means? I think this number 2 part of resilience and feelings, emotions, is something to play with in any part of that. So I know you're going to, when we're done here, make sure the Fresh Inspiration Show, come on, let's keep playing with this. But I bet by the time we're done, you're going to give us a way to connect with all that so that they can get those 6 components and all that kind of stuff. We're going to play with this, right?
Yes,
You got a present, a gift for them?
I do.
Yes. Okay, so let's go to number 3 then. What's the number 3 in resilient?
Okay, so I love the flow of these all components because reasoning is the next component, and it comes right after you feel your feelings and you've regained composure.
You're all throwing stuff.
After you're done with your tantrum or whatever, or the ick or whatever you want to call it, you've regained composure because you use the skills to regain composure and not control over your emotions, just composure. Composure, you get back to feeling like yourself, like your composed adult self. You go into the reasoning stage, which is where you start thinking about, okay, where do I go from here? What do I want to do with this information from my feelings or whatever's happening around me? What do I do with this? It includes visualization, which is looking at all aspects of a situation, all the bad, all the good, and deciding where you want to go. It involves looking for resources to help you reach whatever plan you come up with. It also involves exploring the old beliefs that contributed to the intense feelings you may have been having.
Wow.
Yes. And embracing change.
Okay,
Yeah.
so looking at those old feelings, I'm seeing the change in generational stuff to be able to help for if you're having kids and you're breaking through or whatever, or your relationships, talking about that's real powerful when you actually go back to those, like you're tethering it back, like, okay, so we're ready to move on. Are we? Like, what are those? You start discovering,
Yes.
and start putting words to things that maybe you've never known how to express what's going on. But in your space, it sounds like you're able to connect somebody with words or something comes out so they can start communicating that. Because I know I've heard many people say, I don't know why I do that.
Mhm.
And they haven't yet at this point learned how to explain something so they can move on.
Right.
Wow. So this is like a lot of emotional IQ, like being able to.
Oh gosh, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, emotional intelligence. I'm sure you're reading all the articles out there about emotional intelligence and how, if we really want to be successful in whatever area we are, we have to be emotionally intelligent, not only with ourselves, but about others. Because we all have emotions. And if we're ignoring that part, we're going to start to notice that in our lives. Our relationships are going to be affected. Our careers are going to be affected. Everything around us is going to be infected if we don't have emotional intelligence.
Yeah, the Fresh Inspiration Show. Anybody want to comment on that? That's a great one to talk about. I do feel like the more that I spend time in the morning listening to myself, lately I've been waking up angry, and I've been feeling this really cool stuff, and I'm like, man, it doesn't feel good. I'm angry and I think it's cool, but that's just where my brain is these days. And it really, I appreciate waking up like that. At first, I'm really ornery about it because I'm just like, it's some of my story. So I love this part about, like the reasoning, like around like what's going on so that you can understand what that story is. So there's like a breakthrough in your day. So, I'm wondering, I have hot water in here. I'm wondering if we all need our coffee in the morning. Like the coffee is like, I mean, I know it's good for your heart, but sometimes, coffee's not always good for you. And so like, you're like, I have my coffee, now I can go. But we never got to that part of like, well, why do I feel that way?
Mhm.
So I see that less numbing is going to happen if you can know that somebody's got your back. Like whatever you're feeling now, you're going to understand that more, and so on and so on. Any story around that, Janeen, or that you're seeing people start like coming alive and really understanding that they thought that's how life was going to be, and they realized something different?
Oh gosh, yes. So burnout is a really I've actually, this may sound morbid, but I like working with people in burnout because a lot of what I've talked about so far today is involved in burnout. And I really love to empower people to get out of the burnout. I've been in it myself. I was in it a few years ago. I needed help to get out. And I tell you what, asking for help to get out is a gift to yourself. And by looking at why you're experiencing the burnout, what's contributing to it, I'm not talking about dredging up all the past and maybe some traumas that you've had, but we do need to look at that to see if it's contributing to your present. But how do you move forward from those things that may be contributing to your burnout, keeping you in burnout, and help preventing you from moving forward? If we don't address those things, you're going to stay stuck. And so limiting beliefs is what we address in this section too. Holy cow, we all have them. We all have them. Oh my gosh, I had a whole slew of them I had to work through to get to where I have a really strong vision now for my business. And if we don't, often our limiting beliefs are what are contributing to the intense emotions that we feel like we can't handle, like anxiety, even depression, some other things that you may have going on. Limiting beliefs are behind those. They're behind burnout. They're behind complacency, not reaching our full potential, limiting our potential, sabotaging our success. Limiting beliefs are behind all of those. And reasoning is the stage where we start to look at those in a deep and meaningful way so you can manage them and not let them manage you.
We all have limiting beliefs, all at different levels. So when you get to have this big breakthrough, I feel like you feel this freedom. But and my shoulders are still up here because it's like, but I mean, we all still carry these limiting beliefs because it's like, okay, I cleared that. But so then I can hear if somebody has cleared some big limiting beliefs. This may not be the next level, but this is what I feel happens is people are like, because I was at this part right here where it's like, well, I thought I already dealt with that.
Right.
It's like your next challenge, because I think we're going to be 80, 90 years old if we're still here on earth. We're still going to find a limiting belief, or somebody's going to call us out on it. We'll go, what? Really? I did that? I said that? Or you're going to find it within yourself. So we always have people, like to mirror and put a mirror up and say, hey, that's a limiting belief. But it can be explosive, and it starts getting more, you get curious and you realize, like I may not have any words for it, but I'm acknowledging I'm not moving forward. And there's something about that with reasoning and gaining that knowledge that there is a limiting belief in that glass wall or the ceiling that's not moving you forward. Because if we didn't have limiting beliefs and we could clear it all, we would all be millionaires if that was our goal. Not everybody's goal is to be a millionaire. That the truth is that there's a lot of pain that comes with money if you don't have that money flow, positive feeling. But yeah, I love it.
It's good stuff. Good stuff in this reading domain for sure.
It's good stuff. Anything else you want to blow up in that area? We're going to the fourth one.
I think part of this domain is also embracing change. And it's reinforcing the visualization piece of reasoning is reinforcing the vision that we have, the really strong vision. And so they're all of these domains connect back to vision. If we don't have a strong vision, we will struggle with all the other domains. So visualizing and not only planning for the good stuff, but planning for the bad stuff along the way. And also feeling how we're going to get through those things and how we're going to feel when we actually do. That's a key part of visualization too. And using all of our resources, not just looking at ourselves, but how do we help the people around us that we love and care about, or that are helping us in business somehow, some way? How do we use them to help us reach our vision and get to where we want to go? So those are some really great things about the reasoning domain also. I
don't think I used to have an ego that I was doing it on my own. Like if somebody wanted to help me, I go, I got this. And I realized I was only going so far, but still had to hit my head against the wall a few times.
Mhm.
I'd pay for coaches. And
Yeah.
then they would want to get in deep, and I go, oh, I got this. And so knowing that there's different stages there too, but we all need community.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to do it.
Right. Yeah. Communities, it's actually one of the last domains that we'll cover today, but it's critical. It's critical. We
Yeah.
can't do life by ourselves. As much as we think we can, we can't. And it's boring. Who wants to do life by ourselves? It's boring.
Well, my family, it's all about, I don't need anybody else. Oh, can you help me with lifting that thing up? And
Yes.
and why are you not coming over and doing this for me? And it's like, but
Yeah.
you just said you don't need anybody. If you want to be a smart aleck, my dad was a big smart aleck, and so my kids' friends will hear me say something and they go, oh, and then my son or my daughter will say, my mom's just joking, and I go, oh, but it's like playing in life when it comes to stuff that does feel uncomfortable, so you can help it feel safe space so people can really start seeing their feelings, emotions. That's good stuff, Janine. I do appreciate this so much.
Thanks.
So are we ready to go on the fourth one? Is that where we are?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
We are on tenacity. Woohoo!
Bum. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ready for my part. Now, let me make a safe space for Janine. I'm holding space for you, Janine. I'm sorry, I just got a little excited about this whole tenacity thing. Okay, what's going on with tenacity? What does that all mean?
Oh, this is where you use, the vision, the composure, the reasoning, and you get to tenacity. And you're like, yes, I can do this. This is about bouncing back, learning from your experiences, perseverance, realistic optimism, not toxic positivity. We don't want that because that is not going to help us. But we're looking at things realistically in a holistic manner. We're looking at the negatives that we're going to encounter, but also the really strong growth, amazing things that can actually happen. So realistic optimism without toxic positivity or toxic negativity. Toxic negativity is going to drag us down too. So that's what this phase is all about. Looking at things realistically, staying motivated, persistence, commitment, overcoming obstacles, overcoming mistakes, stopping the self-judgment, stopping those limiting beliefs that we say to ourselves, that negative chatter in our heads that we all have. It's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And time management is also in this domain, which is kind of surprising, but it's learning how to use your time to, there's this concept called flow out there. I'm sure you know about it, Rhonda, and I'm sure you do too, April, being in the corporate world for so
this is new. This is flow out there. What does that mean?
So flow is about getting in this zone where you're super productive. And so scheduling your time during the day where you're going to get the hardest tasks done in that flow period. No distractions, no emails, no phone, no dogs. You may hear my dog snoring in the background, but nothing to distract you from that flow, and scheduling that into your day so you get the most done during that day.
All right. What'd you think? The Fresh Inspiration Show, Inspirers. What do you think? Did you catch the first hour where we're talking about resilience and we step in with the process and you start seeing this playfulness of strength and power? But how can you have strength and power if you don't play with it? So what'd you think? I'd love for you to put a review. In the Revive Your Dance to Create More Income, we had to play with that a little bit because it's not straightforward, because I played a lot of music throughout the time I was playing with you. But did you see how precious all this is about bringing music, opening your heart, bringing dance, bringing flow, cha-cha-cha? What'd you get out of that? Carolyn C.J. Jones, her speaking in truth about knowing that when you're failing and falling, that there's only one way to go up once you decide to go up. So after her drugging and drinking, she finally, with all the pain that was in her heart, started climbing and clawing. What did you think about that? Love you, my friends. I would love to hear from you. Make sure you put a review there. Make sure you keep growing with us. Inspires. Catch up with you. Reconnect again.